Welcome back to the channel, fellow aviators. Today we're going to be taking a first look at the MH-60 by Miltech Simulations in partnership with Blackbird, which does really good work. I want to emphasize that this is just a first look other than a complete review. Last week I posted a review of Tao's hangar, which I will post up in the upper right. And before I do a full review, I really want to get in there, spend a couple hours with the aircraft, walk through the startup procedures with you, check out all the systems, see if there's any quirks. So I don't feel like I'm qualified yet to give you a full review. But one of the reasons I wanted to get out here and start flying with you guys is Miltech released the MH-60. They also released a Mission Hub. And if you haven't seen it, let me pop over and show you what that looks like. Okay, back with you on the Miltech Simulations page. You see that the MH-60 is right now going for $37.99. That's US dollars, freedom units. And below that, though, they have a couple bundled offers. They have the Miltech Mission Hub they're running a discount right now, just a couple bucks on each. It's like 12 bucks. Super Carrier Pro and the UK Carrier Strike Group. All of them slightly discounted right now. For us, what we're really going to be looking at today is the Miltech Mission Hub. So if I pop over to that page, here you see what is all included. And I think this really has the potential to be something unique and great for the community. Because not only is it supporting the MH-60, but it is aircraft agnostic, meaning you can use this Mission Hub for any of your aircraft, both helicopter and fixed wing. So while you can set up some mission parameters, let's say a firefighting mission, you could use your fixed wing, the base game Asoba one, you can use the MH-60. As other aircraft come out, you'll be able to use it with that. And most importantly, or I think just as importantly, you'll be able to create missions, they'll have triggers, and you can share them with your friends. Right now, it's just a single player experience, but according to Miltech, they are working on cross-play compatibility and multiplayer. So effectively, maybe you could have a giant firefighting mission. Within all those missions, there's different specialties that you can engage in, but I'll show that as we get back in the aircraft. So I'll leave a link down in the description below to Miltech. And if you'd like to check them out, please do so. All right, we are back on the main landing page. And before we continue, I should point out I am not sponsored by Miltech. I have not received an advance copy. I paid full price just like you will. If that ever changes, I'll simply let you know. I'm just giving you my honest thoughts and impressions as a little over 10,000 hour helicopter pilot. And if I'm doing airplane stuff, it's my experience owning a plane and or being a captain for a U.S. airline. So having said that, as you can see, we have 3 different variants, and within each variant, we have multiple liveries. These are, looks like real-world aircraft from real-world units, and we also, as you can see, we have the Royal Thai Navy. Looks like we have the Israeli Air Force in here, so multiple countries are represented. I think in total there are 39 different liveries in total, with the only potential issue being, of course, that bug that you are required to set up your camera views for each individual livery. But that is on Microsoft and not on Miltech. All right, so let's go ahead and jump out to the runway, and I will show you how to access the Mission Hub, and then we will fly our very first mission. All right, everybody, I am back with you, logged in here at my local airport. And so the very first thing you need to do, of course, is doing what I'm doing. Get into the actual aircraft, and then once you get in, if you look at this upper screen, there's a button that says Mission. Of course, I clicked it thinking, well, that's probably what starts it for me. In fact, it does not. And this is why I wanted to highlight this for you, because yesterday this probably took me, honestly, about 10 minutes to figure out, right? And what it says down there is it's selling the mission pack for you, gives you that QR code, and then basically it just says, well, just launch the mission editor. And so I believe Miltech, I had to download it through Contrail. So I was in Contrail trying to figure out how we could get this thing set up. And it turns out it was super easy. You just go up to your toolbar, because that's where it's installed, and click right there. And as you can see on the left side, we have our MH-60 mission pack. And over here is what I was talking a little bit about before, which is the ability to create custom missions with triggers and all sorts of stuff that I'm sure the community will be getting into and sharing, and I'm really looking forward to what comes next. But very quickly, you can see we have multiple different types of missions that we can select, and what I think is really the most important is you can choose an airplane, a helicopter. It's really going to add a lot of flexibility, and as I think I mentioned, if I didn't, they are working with the crossplay and multiplayer, which means you should be able to have some pretty epic missions if people start developing them. So, but we're not here for that today. We are here for the mission pack. And as you see, what's actually included are multiple types of missions. Let's go ahead and bring that up to full screen. So we have some firefighting missions, we have some rescue missions, offshore missions, and the one I thought I'd like to do, since I used to fly medevac, would be the Bering Sea Rescue. So once you do that, there's a little brief description of what takes place, and then we click Play Mission, and now it will automatically transfer us to the mission area. Just let you guys see a couple cool shots of the aircraft before we jump in. So the only thing I'm not sure of is if they're using, I'm pretty sure they're using their own dynamic weather, not live weather. But I'm not sure exactly what the parameters are for all that stuff. Full disclosure, I attempted this mission yesterday and I encountered a couple bugs. And one I thought was pretty much mission ending, as I was stuck at 100 knots no matter what I did. So I've got probably maybe 30 minutes in the aircraft. I did a couple takeoff and landings, and other than that, I haven't done much in this aircraft, just enough to kind of check out its overall flight control so I just don't look dumb when I'm flying it. So anyway, so now we are in the actual mission. Aircraft is prepped and ready to go, so it's a great way to kind of get into, actually, I think, flying. And it says take off from the U.S. Coast Guard Station Kodiak, and we got like 6 minutes to take off. So let's just jump right in here, and the very first thing we're going to do is, I like to do at least, let's bring up our map view, and then we can do this page up, page down, which zooms in and out. So it looks like we need to go over the top of these mountains or just kind of cut to the south and over, but I have yet to find an ability, and I don't think you can, based off of what some other content creators are telling me, that you can get an actual lateral hold. You can't nav, you can't select a heading and then engage the autopilot. It has very, very basic autopilot functionality. Luckily, I think this aircraft's super stable, so it's not difficult to fly. There is one quirk I will show you about flying this aircraft. So I think for what we're going to do here, just looking at that screen, is I think we'll just take off here straight ahead. We'll make a U-turn. We'll climb up about 5,000 to 6,000 feet and then kind of skirt the southern edge of those mountains, if that makes sense. And we can now zoom back in. Something like that. And we are, at this point, all set and ready to go. So I know some people like the input viewer, so I'll bring that in over here. I'll get rid of my tablet by clicking right there so I get better view. I will turn on my head tracking, and let's get going. As always, if you are new to flying helicopters, I'm going to try to tell you to make a 2-stage takeoff. So you see I'm starting to move forward a little bit. So I'm just going to stop pulling, readjust my cyclics. I moved it a little bit down. What we want to do is neutralize all movements. Now, having said that, this is a wheeled aircraft. It's totally acceptable to roll forward and take off. fact, it might be significantly easier for you guys. So we'll just take a little bit of forward, and then we will come straight off the ground. Now, if you notice, the nose stayed straight ahead, and that is not due to my incredibly great flying skills, but in fact, you don't need to use any of your anti-torque pedals to fly the aircraft. In fact, this aircraft is so stable, I'm really just kind of flying it with the trim, and I have my frictions down a little bit on my cyclic, but this is actually hands-off flying right now. It's an extremely stable aircraft. So let's just go ahead and do a normal takeoff. As we mentioned, pull in a little bit of power. Once again, as I pull power, I don't have to make any pedal adjustments. And so I think this mission is going to be, one of the reasons I chose it is I think it's going to be a little bit difficult. We're going to be flying in some weather, which is going to require some good IFR flying skills. Let's keep pulling up our power. About 2,000 feet per minute. I think that's a pretty good climb. Go ahead and start our right turn, but now we're in the clear. Let me show you this weird quirk. If I move my controls to the left, look down in the PFD. I've got a nice roll going. Notice how the heading's barely moving? It's because, as I roll here, you need to use a little bit of pedal. So it's a little bit unique in that. I've never flown a helicopter like this, and it's a little bit, if you're a helicopter guy, a little bit off-putting to, in fact, be using your pedals in a turn. But that's what's going to be required to fly this aircraft effectively. So we're kind of IFR here, so I'm just going to kind of continue climbing up. We can nose over here just a little bit. I don't need that much of a pitch up. Once again, we'll just kind of use a little bit of pedal and just a little bit of cyclic. This is not an aircraft, unlike the Talix Hangar 500 or OH-6, that you're going to be able just to like yank and bank around. It does not like that. Roll out here just a little bit because I said I wanted to stay kind of south of the mountain range, so I'm just going to kind of make my way there, and I'm probably going to cut out a little bit of, for you guys, it's, you know, a 50-mile flight, and we're going to get a lot of this kind of IMC stuff. And so I've seen around, I don't know, 5 degrees or so. Obviously it depends on your power setting. It's kind of a good setting. I'm starting to slow up our rate of climb here. Really don't want to have anything probably less than about 5 degrees. And we'll just take out a little bit of power. And we're coming up about 6,000 feet. And as I mentioned, so we have no lateral guidance, but what we do have is, as I kind of balance the aircraft out, let's come down here. We'll click Autopilot on, and then we can do radar out, which we would not want to do unless we're over water, but we can do a baro out hold. At least we should be able to. There we go. So I have noticed a couple times when I engage this, it gets a little bit squirrely. Try to kind of figure out its position. So gonna now start to give us a little bit of turn, kind of try to get us back on more course here. So I just didn't want to go over the top of those mountains. If you decide to go over the top, I think around 6,000 feet is going to be good. But as you can see, for part of this flight, they have purposely set the weather conditions for us. So to me, it's kind of crazy to think that a fully functional current gen aircraft is just so lacking in a lot of avionics that we just kind of take for granted in a basic 172. So anyways, let me cut you off right here, or let me check out right here. We got another 43 miles to go. All right, everybody, I am back with you. You see we're getting a little bit closer, and it looks like the shoreline's coming up. So I've already kind of just started a gradual descent as we get down towards the water. Fairly uneventful. If you're unfamiliar with glass cockpits and trend indicators, on the right side of your PFD, that orange bar is showing my descent. That one is in thousands of feet per minute. So I'd optimally like to be under 1,000 feet by the time I get over the water, since I think we're going to be looking for a boat. And definitely, as you get over the water, you're going to want to maintain some sort of visual references. When I was much younger, I used to fly off a back of a large-scale tuna boat, and nothing would be a little bit more scary than, as I'd get separated from the boat, we'd go out at about a 30-mile arc away from the boat and start looking for the fish, and we'd be 1,000 miles off the coast, so we were nowhere near civilization. And sometimes you get a squall line between you and the boat, and it would extend for mile 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles. Like I would just have to go through the squall line, and it was very disconcerting to just kind of do what I'm doing right now, right into gray. Of course, the aircraft I'm flying doesn't have any autopilot capabilities, so it was, or quite frankly, instruments. I was flying a very small light helicopter. All right, so 3,500, we need to keep on coming down. I kind of just slowed that rate of descent as we're getting over the just before we get on top of the water here. Don't want to controlled flight in terrain scenario. Let's zoom in a little bit. All right, we start coming back down now. Oh, and we have working windshield wipers, and they actually move the rain off the windshield. They've done it. All right, we're a little bit lower here. Let's start reducing that rate of descent. I've definitely found small movements with this is by far the best. And we should probably start slowing down as well. As you notice, I am quiet because I'm actually forced to concentrate. It's one thing I definitely like here is this mission is definitely a little bit tough if you are not familiar with instrument flying. I can see it very quickly getting out of hand. All right, what do we got? 5 miles to go. Let's start getting ourselves back down to about 500 feet or so. Try to keep our airspeed around 100 knots. Or a little bit less. All right, that's fine. We've got another 4 miles to go. Let's bring up the input viewer for everybody. Start your SAR ops, find the crew, and hoist them to safety. Sorry for the little jump there. Get that track IR back on. There is a feature, which I will show you here when I get a second, where you can, the aircraft, it won't fly the search pattern, but it will show one for you. Make our way down here at about 300 feet. And then once we get kind of on station, we'll just start doing looks like it's fairly clear out here. Just start doing a circle, I guess. All right, we're coming up on the waypoint. I don't know. It's obviously not right here at the waypoint, so we'll just... That's it right there. Now this aircraft is equipped with all sorts of neat features. Approach to hover, crew hover, barrel hold, radar. I'm just going to hand fly this to see if we can do this without using all the fancy automation. So in real life here, I'd be looking at the wind direction, trying to get my nose pointed into the wind. I'm not sure how well Microsoft actually implements this. I don't think they really do that much in terms of the worst thing you would want to have, as I think I've mentioned in a couple helicopter videos, is around 15 knots you enter what's called effective transitional lift, and that is simply the vortexes that the blades are creating. You're basically leaving them behind you. But if you land with, let's say, with a tailwind, they can be forced into the aircraft, and then if you start a slight descent, you can enter what's called vortex ring state, which is very hard to escape at low level. So that altimeter, which is really nice, is, you can see it's measuring in tens of feet, right? So right now I'm here at 200, slightly descending, 180. So it gives you some pretty good precise control. I think the goal we're looking for is probably right around 50. We haven't had the crew chief call out yet, but she is annoying. I think from here, I don't want to get too close, around 60 feet here to make sure I'm nice and stable. Come up here, we're going to want to turn on the rescue hoist, see if they can take care of it, or if I have to lower it. About 50 feet. I'm trying to determine if the boat is moving or I'm moving. That's one of the things you don't want to focus on. There we go. Lower the hoist. So let's come back up to here, and then we'll hit lower. I think that was lower.
Hoist coming down.
Oh, wrong way.
Cable down. Increase altitude to 50 feet.
Alrighty.
Survivor attached. Raising hoist. Hoist coming up.
All right. Head to Larson Bay and land on the apron. Paramedics are on standby. Course of 145. What are we doing? Just starting a slight climb so we're not so low. And I think my pedal turn us all the way around here. I'm gonna try something I haven't tried before. See if it works. So right around this general direction. 10 miles. Let's go down to here, and I think there is a depart. The aircraft looks like it takes itself off. Up to 200 feet. All right. So it just brings us up to 200 feet. Another 8 miles. All right, let's... So I think I am all like out of whack here on my trim. As you see, I got the cyclic all the way back at this point. I don't know. Let me put this autopilot on. Oh, that's the autopilot messing me up. Yeah, that's it. This is the autopilot. All right, note to self, be a hero. Don't use the autopilot. Oh my gosh, I've done the rescue and see this guy, I'm not sure why I cannot get my, all right, let's just get myself into a hover and see if I can zero out my controls. As you see, I am the input gear back there. So it's doing its own approach to all right, let's get that back. So you saw that. I'm not sure exactly what just took place there, but I had very little, sitting there flying around with a full aft stick, flying into the mountains. Not my finest piece of work, but that's of course why I want to wait before I come out with the full review. I don't think it's fair for the developer for me to make these comments. Is it me? Is it me not knowing the systems? Which I tend to probably believe that's in fact what the case is. But I'm glad I had the input viewer up for everyone to see what I was kind of struggling with, which was, in fact, I was trying to lift the nose and the cyclic goes all the way full back. So I was trying to use a combination of my trim to maybe see if I could adjust it. So we're only 3 miles out and going into crap weather. I need a course of 168, so... Oh, there it is, in green up there. So we'll just kind of keep holding this. I'll say, I feel kind of, once I try to engage those automatic modes is where things kind of started going cockamamie on me, which I'm sure it's not the mode, I'm sure it's the pilot. I think I'd have been much better off just hand flying it, but I'm sure maybe once I engaged, I'll have to look at the actual flight here, but maybe once I engaged it, my cyclic was displaced the wrong way. All right, well, this is not good. So we're just gonna come in real slow. Looks like a runway. It's not normally how I'd be making my approaches so slow, but with weather like this, losing sight of the ground here with terrain would be a problem. This time, I think, once again, remember for the MH-60, it's got that rear tail wheel, and if you try to come in vertically, you're going to touch down on that tail wheel first, and if you don't readjust, you're going to start moving backwards. So what I think I'm going to do is just come in with a little forward speed.
20 feet. 10 feet.
And then we'll ground taxi it in.
10 feet. 5 feet. 5 feet. 5 feet. 5 feet.
Okay. She's annoying. I know that. Alright, let's come down.
5 feet.
I think that's my tail wheel.
5 feet.
I'll just slow us up here just for a second. I'll put on my brakes. And I think, we'll look down here. Just want to lock that tail wheel so I can a little forward on the cyclic, and let's drive her in. If I can. right, overall, I thought it went pretty well, other than after I attempted to use the auto depart mode. I think it went pretty well. I got to figure that out, play with that a little bit, and see how that process works. I tend to, for stuff like this, I like to hand fly everything. Or if they're got me fly all the way back to base. In fact, they are. They're going to make me head all the way back to base. So I'm not going to have you guys. I'm not going to have you guys do that with me. I will cut you out here, and well, once again, we'll get back to the Kodiak base, and we will see if there's any kind of mission reward or completion. All right. So I'll just see you on short final. All right, folks, I am back with you. Somewhat of an eventful flight, which I did not record, which I tried to engage once again, the barrel hold. It was nice and level, doing around 150 knots. It slowed me up to 100, so I'm like, okay, that kind of works. And then I got myself into one of those, once again, that same situation I had just as we were approaching the hospital, where I ran out of cyclic travel. So I just opted to turn all the automation off and just hand fly it. So I'll be honest with you, this was a lot of work. Flying instruments in a brand new helicopter took a lot of concentration. I worked up a sweat. It was really kind of actually difficult. So what I discovered, though, if you remain to the, what side would that be? To the north of the path, you can probably get down to around maybe 6,000 and just kind of proceed direct to the water. If you go to the other side, I was up at one point at 8,000 and I was seeing peaks above me. So I would definitely keep that in mind. I also found, for me, I was trying to keep around, like right here, around 5 knots or so, and that was giving me about 130 knots. So, and then I would just use the collective to adjust my level. So, a couple little tips there. But I'm not going to lie, I am actually worked up a little bit of a sweat, and I'm a little bit tired. I mean, not only do you have the pressure of trying to fly instruments, and they do a real good job. I mean, it goes completely gray, as you guys have seen, but there are mountains in front of us, and I don't know what my minimum safe altitudes are. I mean, you just kind of hop in here. There's really no briefing for that part. Oh, there's the Coast Guard ramp right there. All right, so just going to the runway. So let's just deviate in there. It does take some getting used to the pedals controlling heading and your cyclic controlling your bank angle. And I have learned my lesson. I am using zero automation at this point on. Obviously, user error. I will sort it out by the review. Now we get to listen to that very annoying crew chief tell me 10, 10, 10. All right, so where does it want us to land here? I'm going away, so 220.
Feet. 10 feet. 5 feet.
'All right, so we were actually able to complete it. Okay, well, that was kind of bad. Heading towards. All right, anyways, folks, that is going to be it for this very first mission. First impressions of the aircraft. I like it. It definitely is unique. I got to figure out the systems a little bit more. This is probably one of the very first times I've actually really worked up a sweat as I was really concentrating, notwithstanding a couple like the automation issues aside, but flying an IMC in an unknown area with mountains around you, descending once again IMC over the water, it was definitely a lot of fun. So if you guys play this mission, let me know down in the comments what you think, and I will catch you all in the next one. Take care for now. Bye.